Welcome, 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 everybody, to another Maker Monday with Go Imagine. For anyone who is new for the first time seeing this or new to Go Imagine in general, we are the world's first handmade marketplace that is donating 100% of our profits to charity. We kicked off in April in beta and launching next month live to the world. And to get the word out and keep growing, one of the exciting things we have been doing every Monday is talking to our makers. The reality is that Go Imagine does not exist without makers bringing their creativity and bringing their shops onto our platform to sell all their wonderful handmade items to the world and support the good causes that we're going after. So for today, I'm very excited to introduce you to somebody who's been with us almost since the beginning, I think. So let me bring her on in, everybody. Say hello to Karen Eaton from KJewlery Creations. Hello. What's up, Karen?
How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yep, me too.
Now, and
it's an honor.
As I was an honor.
It is. I'm so impressed with Go Imagine.
I do appreciate that. We fake it really well. And as I was saying it a moment ago, I said you've been with us since the beginning because it feels like that. When did you find out about us?
I think the beginning of March, and I think I got approved as a seller mid-March.
Okay, yeah. So you were in that first wave of sellers to get approved.
I think so.
All right, wonderful. So tell everybody here. Let's start with the basics. I'd like to know three things from you. Can you tell everyone where you're from? I'd like to know how long you've actually been involved in doing crafts, and tell me what got you into started doing jewelry, which is your current shop.
Well, I'm from Katy, Texas. It's on the west side of Houston. And I started doing crafting about 25 years ago, but jewelry at about 10 years ago, mostly due to the fact that I have severe allergies for a lot of things, including metals. Okay. And I had problems also with sizing of things because I'm short, and it was hard to find bracelets, that would fit my wrists and necklaces that hung where I wanted them to. So I just started making my own. Okay.
All right. So if what I'm hearing from you is what I've heard from a lot of sellers before, you always hear the term find a need, fill a need. One was an allergy reason that you were looking to make your own jewelry, and two was a sizing reason, things you bought that were off the shelf didn't fit you well.
Exactly. They were way too big. I mean, like the standard size for a bracelet is 7 to 7.5, and my wrist is like 6 1/4. So they weren't even adjustable enough to be, if they were adjustable for me to even be able to wear them.
Gotcha. Well, I'd like to think the reason that I need to get bigger clothes now is because of the sizing at stores, but it's just because I have to get bigger clothes.
I agree. That and this whole COVID thing.
But now one thing you said there, which is interesting to me, because I had not realized this, a metal allergy. I mean, there's so many allergies out there, whether it's allergies, for what have you, whether it's a food allergy, a pollen allergy, a medication, but a metal allergy, it actually affected you, the metals you would wear in jewelry. Can you describe how other jewelries would affect you from an allergy?
Well, like when I would wear an earring, and it didn't matter if it was a plated earring of anything, within like 5 minutes, my ears would be super hot, red, itching, but also sore. And as soon as I would take the earring out, within about 20 to 30 minutes, it would be better, but it would still take a while for it to clear up.
So you'd actually notice it from a redness, irritation on your ears from the interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And it was painful too, because it would end up, almost like a sore in there.
And how did you discover that it was an allergic reaction? Was it a doctor, or just you kind of figured that there had to be something that was going on with the specific earrings you were wearing?
Yeah, because it didn't matter what earrings I put in. And, I bought so many different ones trying to figure out, if it's gold plated, silver plated, sterling silver, and it just didn't matter.
And so what was the end result? I mean, what makes your jewelry, because I know I saw on your site, which we'll talk about in a moment, that there's some hypoallergenic metals that are I guess cleaner, you could say, from an allergic reaction standpoint. What makes those different that you're selling versus what you can buy typically off the shelf?
Pretty much the only ones I buy are stainless steel, because that's really the only ones that I can wear. And so stainless steel, they don't bother my ears at all. Things that say they're nickel free, like at Hobby Lobby and such, I can't even wear those. I don't know what's different about them, because one of the most common allergies is the nickel allergy. A lot of people have that. And so, if it says nickel free, a lot of people assume they can wear that. I'm, of course, very special, and I can't wear that.
So it's the nickel. You find the nickel is what often. And so is that because sometimes, like you say, nickel free, I assume companies are mixing their metals with nickel, to get the price down, just to make it a cheaper metal? Is that kind of why they mix
Probably. But the other thing too is I don't know if those are actually coated with something, and that's what is affecting me, and that's why I can't wear those. Okay. I don't know. I haven't been able to figure that part out.
Interesting. Okay. And so we're taking this journey with you. Obviously, jewelry is your big thing now. And you said you've been crafting for 25 years. What got you into crafting in the first place? Was it something from family members, or who really got you to inspire you to actually get into crafting in general?
Well, when I was younger and newly married, and we moved to a state, and I didn't know anybody except my husband, and met some people.
Did you know him before you moved there?
Yes, I did. Briefly. About 7 months, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
so you were learning him as well when you moved there. You were learning who your husband. So you
John, this was back in the day for cell phones where you paid for the minutes, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
And he was in one state and I was in the other state. And so we both had phone bills, $200 and $300 a month, because we talked every night. That's how we got to know each other after he left.
Will be the minute cards. You'd type in the number for how many minutes you'd have.
Oh, no. It was worse. It was worse. It was worse. It was terrible. But that's how we got to know each other. And we've been married. It'll be 39 years in December.
Okay,
so,
congratulations. That's
quite
a bit of time. So you end up in this new town living with your husband, and nobody there. And so
right. Well, I met a friend, and we got an invitation to a service sorority, which is a philanthropic type of organization for women. And in doing that, we had fundraisers and stuff, and so we had to do, like poster board things and such, and all that kind of stuff. And so it was pretty rough at first, but it got better and better. And it kind of sparked my creativity. It's like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this, And then being the person I am, it's like it explodes, because I can't only have 4 things to make a poster. I have to have 40 things to make a poster.
Okay.
And that's the way it happens with everything I do, pretty much.
That's fair. And so you joined this, what you were calling a service sorority, right? Which was the first time I ever heard that word, was a service sorority. So I'm sure they had some sort of initiation, right? You had to drink a lot of booze. They whipped you.
No, it wasn't that kind of sorority.
Really wild. I'm picturing you, Karen.
Think Rotary Club. Think Rotary Club, okay? Think Rotary Club. Yeah.
Rotary Club doesn't sound nearly as exciting than what's in my head right now.
I know, right?
In my mind, you're doing some wild things at the service sorority.
I know. We were pretty mild back then, even though we were young. But.
And so you were getting involved in this stuff, and that was kind of your first taste on just doing things artistically with your hands, I'm guessing.
Right. I can't draw to save my life. I mean, I can't draw a straight line. I can't draw circles, but I could make this work. And as I got a little bit better, and then I branched off into rubber stamping and making cards. And as my friend always said, I would think I was stamping something in a random pattern. And I'd say, look, it's random. And she'd go, no, it's all lined up. But I thought I was doing random.
Outside the box is completely inside the box.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Wonderful.
Lined up perfectly. Yep.
So when you got into the service sorority, you're doing this very much so. It sounds as a hobby, right? And for the most part, I think most people start doing anything artistic as a hobby. And then when did you decide that it was time to try and sell something online? How long have you been selling online now?
About 3 years. About the first year and a half, I really didn't try very hard. But what kind of sparked it was I had family and friends that I had sold to. They liked what I made. And so I thought, well, if they like it, maybe everybody won't like it, but maybe I could sell at least, to help pay for supplies and that type of thing. So
yeah, the typical, if it can fund my addiction with creating
exactly
art.
Addiction. That's it. Exactly.
I enjoy doing it. It's becoming very expensive. Can someone pay me just so I can do this?
Exactly.
And now it seems to me, though, talking with you, it's leading to the fact that it's not just pay for your addiction, but also maybe you can make a few bucks doing it as well.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, no, I think you've been tremendous. And I want to bring this up now because looking at your shop that you do have on Go Imagine, I think it's beautiful what you've done with the photography, by the way. And I think,
thank you.
Did you tell me earlier that it was actually your son-in-law who was a photographer?
Yes, he's a photographer, and he helped a lot with my setting up with my lights and my cameras and everything. Now, most of the time, I just use my phone because it's so easy to edit. And I really don't have to do much post on them at all.
That's great.
Because they turn out so good. I mean, the quality of cameras has improved so much just in the last even 5 years.
Oh, my God.
And it's just so much quicker,
Completely. Yeah. I mean, phones, if you have, they're not going to fix all the lighting and the backgrounds and all that, but the quality of the picture itself on a phone is tremendous.
Exactly.
I imagine a lot of the makers on Go Imagine wish that their son-in-law was a photographer as well.
Well, we love him. We're not trading him for nothing.
So talk to me. Okay. So you've been doing jewelry now for about 10 years. You started selling a few years ago. Talk to me about your art. Why do you make what you make? What is it about this type of jewelry, about the style you do? Can you talk to me about the style that you've chosen here?
Well, most of my style, I would say, would be considered classic. I do in my home and pretty much everything. I like fairly simple things and traditional things. And so I tend to make pretty much what I like, but which I know isn't for everybody, but it pretty much does. The majority of things I make do have a vintage component also, because I do buy a lot of my products through, and I got permission, BSUBoutiques.com, and she does have a fair amount of vintage beads and components and stampings and such. So, and those really talk to me. I really like the way they look. I like that is something that makes my pieces different, because to me they are more classic, but yet with the vintage component, it's, if someone's looking strictly for vintage things, it does fall into that area also for them.
Yeah, no, I can see that completely, because you're taking, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're taking a vintage piece, but combining it into your own art for jewelry. You're just using that as part of the supplies, I guess you would call it.
Right.
And now you brushed by it quickly. If you want to give a name drop, you certainly can. What is the name of that shop that you get from? BSue,
B''SUE boutiques.com.
BSue, B''SUE boutiques.com. Okay. And you know the person, and you know that seller personally?
Yes.
And what's her name or his name?
Brenda Sue.
Brenda Sue. Okay. Well, we'll give her a shout out.
And she's in Ohio. She's in almost your neck of the woods.
All right. BSue. Check them out, guys. You can get some cool vintage supplies, it sounds like. And so let's talk more about these supplies that you're using. So here's a piece as an example. And I just pulled this up randomly. Talk to me about so when you take a piece like this, part of this is vintage, but then you've created an earring out of it. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Correct. The actual pearls are a vintage pearl, vintage Japanese pearl. Okay. And pearls, I had no idea years ago that I would love pearls as much as I do. But I love the finishes on them, because as you can see, these pearls are fairly shiny. Some of them are more matte, and just the color range, they can be, quote, cream colored pearls, but they can vary a lot even within that. And I just find it so satisfying to be able to take those and just add something to them and make something beautiful. I mean, to me, these are the epitome of classic, mother of the bride. I mean, you could wear them with jeans. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's funny. It's I sometimes think I'm a good person to give interviews on Maker Monday because I don't know any of this. So I can actually learn. And for me, as a novice, when I think pearls, I think your standard circle white pearl. Your typical, Marge Simpson pearl around the necks, or going further back, maybe with a but this is like, so these pearls, obviously, this is more of a pear-shaped pearl, and now
teardrop.
Teardrop. I go pear. Teardrop sounds better. It's kind of an eggplant shaped pearl.
Yeah, something like that.
I have no idea.
That's
right. And so when they're selling these vintage, is Brenda getting these from other pieces and that are vintage pieces and kind of then disassembling them, or what makes that a vintage pearl?
The age.
Just the age. Of where she gets it from. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Now we're talking about your unique items here, right? You mentioned to me actually when we talked earlier today that everything you sell is one of a kind, meaning that you're not like you're not going to make the same set of earrings 100 different times. Is that correct?
Exactly.
All right. So
pretty much, I find that boring. I can't do it. I mean, as much as I love this particular pair of earrings, if somebody buys them, I want them to know that somebody else isn't going to have something that looks exactly like that. So even if I use the same pearls, I'll change some other component of it to be something else. Either maybe another kind of pearl, a complementary color of pearl, or go like all metal or something like that. But yeah, that's why I like creating jewelry, because I can make as many different things as I can come up with. I mean, it's endless. It's endless possibilities.
Yeah, and I think that's where I think a lot of handmade sellers come to a site to get something handmade, because they're hoping to get something that is maybe a little more one of a kind. Now it's not going to be so one of a kind that there couldn't be similar items, but every piece you make could have a little bit of a different flair, a different color, or just being handmade in general. It can have a different feel to it because it just wasn't pounded out of a manufacturing plant where they're all identical. And so
exactly. And sometimes, sometimes a little imperfection of how you've done a loop. I'll sit there and say, oh my gosh, that's not perfect. I don't like that. But then when you remember that it's handmade and that's okay, that's part of what makes it handmade.
That's part of the charm, right?
Yeah.
That's part of why you want something that's handmade.
Mm-hmm.
So now some of your pieces seem very, I guess the word would be a little more minimalist, a little bit smaller. And then you also make some more larger, maybe statement pieces as well. Mm-hmm. So when you look at these pieces here, like this is one in particular I saw, a lot more, I'm guessing, goes into something like this than your single teardrop with a hook. Is that
exactly? Exactly. That's a project that we did for a workshop that we had with Brenda Sue, and we all did the same project, but everybody's turned out differently, because we could use a base that was in one of 4 different metals, and then it just depends on what you decide to hang on there. Some of those beads are vintage beads. Some of them are gemstone beads, and those types of things, to make all those, I don't know if you can see, but at the top there underneath the loops, they're actually wire wrapped. They're all wire wrapped. Oh, so they won't come off. And so when you do that, it for me, it takes more time, because I have to use pliers because of problems with my hands. And so those are things that, someone might not notice, But as an artist and as a jewelry maker, I know that and I recognize that, and it makes it more secure on the piece. So, if I'm going to buy jewelry somewhere, I look for that because I want to make sure that it's well made.
It's not just going to fall off like the
exactly.
Like the hinge of my glasses or something. That
exactly.
Exactly. I got to go back to Warby Parker.
That's right.
Okay, wonderful. So this is great. So you obviously have different styles. What inspires you? Is it just is there a certain artist you look at? Is it just you experimenting? How do you go through deciding what the next piece of jewelry is that you want to put up for sale?
Well, my creative process is literally like I will pull out like 10 or 15 different beads and put them in a pile and say, okay, I know I want to make a necklace or I want to make a bracelet or whatever. And just to sit there and literally, well, I consider it playing with the beads, but eventually it comes together and, you pull out this, you pull out that, and you decide this one doesn't work, either the shape or the color or whatever. But that's kind of my process. And that's actually what I love the most about creating jewelry, is that creative process. And that's part of why I joined Brenda's group because she does a lot of mixed media. And so just always being able to try different techniques and learn different things, it helps you stay creative, basically.
And it's funny because the more I hear you talk, and we did talk earlier today, the more I'm feeling from you, and you tell me if this is right or not, but I'm feeling like the process for you to make jewelry isn't just the business, it's actually cathartic to you. It's almost a good experience for you to actually create and make jewelry.
Yes. It is definitely for me a happy wife, happy life kind of ordeal. Because if I'm not
take over the entire house with supplies, because I heard
it has come close to that at some points. And so in the past there was a point that I had to like literally swoosh everything into a box and put it away, and for about that 2-month period I was not a very happy person. But
how do I squish it into a room? Maybe I'll squish it into 3 rooms. How about you go into a box? How about we just put our husband in the box and you can have this?
Yeah. But then the digging it all back out is what's a real pain. So picking through all of those beads.
Digging the husband out of the box or digging the jewelry out of the box?
The beads out of the box.
One of the things I love as I meet more and more makers on Go Imagine, and it's something that, truth be told, I'm learning more about myself as we have so many more artists joining our community, is how much appreciation I've grown to have that when you buy these items, it's not just a mass manufactured, you don't care, bang it out to buy another one, but it's something that you've given your own thought, your own blood, your own sweat, your own tears to. It's something that you've put your own love into. And that's what I'm feeling from you, is that every item you make has a little bit of you in it. If I'm hearing that.
And I'm happy when somebody buys it, but at the same time, because none of my pieces are repeatable, a little part of you goes,
Right. And do you ever have something that doesn't sell and you don't know why? And that's a little piece of you going, why isn't someone buying this? I loved it so much. Like, does that happen at all?
Sometimes, and sometimes it depends on what it is, but sometimes I can take it apart and rework it into something else. But like the little heart necklace that you see there, about the only thing I would probably be able to rework with that would be to make it a charm, like on a bracelet, because what that is, that's actually polymer clay that is like chopped up and mosaiced into there and baked.
Okay.
And then with a resin coat. So there's no way to actually change what that piece has become, except to take it off the chain and, like I said, maybe make it a charm for a bracelet or something like that.
Right.
And even if I would try to make another one, like say for an earring, it wouldn't, it'd be hard to get it to look very, similar enough to where you could wear them as earrings.
Well, because the earrings have to be obviously very similar. Otherwise.
Right. And it's okay for them to be a little bit different, but just because of the technique that is, it would be very, very difficult.
Understood. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so let's. I want to shift to a similar gear here, because what we're hearing is that you really love the vintage inspired jewelry. You get very much into your creativity. You like to make everything that's one of a kind. Except there's one item you're selling now that doesn't feel like it falls into this exact category, which is essentially a toilet paper roll ornament. I'm guessing a little more tongue-in-cheek, a little more humor when it comes to COVID-19.
Exactly. And I never, ever would have even thought about selling this, but my little necklace here that I have on, and it's all made out of seed beads, and it's a little toilet paper necklace. And that took me like 3 hours to stitch by hand. And I wanted a way to basically recreate this. Someone at work said, oh, are you going to do ornaments like that? I said, well, I could probably do that. So my little brain started thinking about how could I do that? How could I do that? And, of course, when you're producing, it has to be broken down in as few steps as possible.
Right.
And so that, you're not spending a huge amount of time on each one. I found someone on Etsy that did the laser engraving tags for me. And I ended up having Home Depot as one of my suppliers. So it all worked out, and I've literally gotten it down to like 7 steps from start to finish. A couple of the steps do take a little bit longer, like the initial, because I have to let glue dry and such. But from there, the rest doesn't take long at all to finish. And I think they've become what I consider a bestseller. So, they'll only be relevant for this year, pretty much. I mean, even if we go into next year with the virus, this was the first. So I've not put them on Etsy or anything else. They're only on my Go Imagine shop, so that people can only buy them. And they're fun to make. I mean, because
listen. This is for all your other pieces that I would take a little more as elegant jewelry. Right. This is definitely a step in a different direction for you. Is
exactly. Exactly. And I'm not moving to home decor. Don't get me wrong. I'm not moving to home decor or anything like that. Or, it's just something fun and different from what I normally do. So
I think it's wonderful to do that, right? Because I mean, you have to bring levity to life.
That's right.
That's right. And this is a big part of that. The fact that I've seen a lot of these get sold on Go Imagine, because I think sometimes in life, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Exactly.
Exactly. I think COVID's a little bit of that for everybody. Right
It is.
Wonderful. Well, listen, that's fantastic. I'm glad you put these up there because it's nice to see more relevant stuff that comes out. I do want to, just because you mentioned her a few times, I looked her up. Why not give her a little more of a shout out here? BSU Boutique. Am I on the correct website right now?
You are.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I have no problem, because you brought her up that I wouldn't be sharing your supplier if you didn't share the supplier first.
Yeah. And I got permission, so that's fine.
Yeah. So BSU Boutiques. Looks like she has some wonderful vintage.
Fabulous stuff. See all the pearls there? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All I hope is that if and when in the future we have a non-handmade supply, a marketplace for Go Imagine, that Brenda Sue will join Go Imagine as well when that time comes around. Wonderful. So let's get back to you, though. I want to hear more about. I just slipped my mind about your future. So you've been doing it professionally, we'll say, for 3 years. You've been making it for most of your life. But what is KJewlery creation going to be years from now? If you had to say, where do I want to be with my company, with my business, with my shop? What are your aspirations you're driving to? Do you have any specific things you want to achieve with your shop?
I consider myself pretty much just a hobbyist, and pretty much plan to stay that way just because I'm almost 60 years old. And, I'm on that kind of part of life where I don't want to have to do something. And so if I want to go out of town, I don't want to have to worry about, you know, keeping up with the production and that type of thing. And so I'm just real chill, and it, like I said, it's more of a hobby for me. And if I can help Go Imagine by having my pieces there, and you know, people will buy them, then it's all good. I'm happy with that. Yep, I'm happy with that.
I cannot thank you enough for being a part of that. And I can tell you that when it comes to any marketplace, whether it's a handmade marketplace or something else, it's all walks of life. You know, some people are, I guess you would say, a hobbyist. Although I do take, in some case, this is a fancy word, I take umbrage with the word hobbyist sometimes, because I don't think it doesn't mean the quality is any less, right?
Right.
Sometimes the hobbyist, the quality could even be better because they're taking more care for every piece they make.
Exactly.
Sometimes the word hobbyist to me makes me think of someone who's not professional, right? With you, I mean, I think your jewelry stands up to the best of it. It's just that you're not trying to do it as a full-time job.
Exactly.
You know, which is wonderful. And I think everybody has different desires and plans for their shops. And we love having everybody on Go Imagine for that exact purpose. And we hope that you get out of it what you're putting into it. So let me ask you one question. I don't even think I asked this earlier, but if there was a new person to selling online that you spoke with and you had to give advice, what is one piece of advice you might give someone who's just starting out, whether just starting out making jewelry or just starting out selling handmade items online? Is there any sort of advice you would give them?
Probably just to do what they like, and you know, let it evolve and let it become, because the only expectation is for yourself. And so if you let somebody try to tell you, oh, well, you're just a hobbyist, or, you know, your stuff isn't any good just because it's not selling, and that's not necessarily true. And they maybe don't even want to be, you know, spending, you know, 50, 60 hours a week creating. Maybe they just want to do it, you know, after the kids go to bed or whatever, and just try to get a little something out of it to help pay for their supplies. I mean, and that's perfectly okay. It may start out that way, and, you know, maybe they'll go viral on TikTok or something, and then, you know, sell 400 of them or something. But, you know, it's all what you want it to be, and it's your choice. It's your choice.
You know, I think that's wonderful advice, you know, especially because we've always lived in the world of always trying to keep up with the Joneses, I guess.
Exactly.
And I feel that social media has only taken that to another level.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm a part of a lot of handmade groups on social media. And it's either a lot of people saying and complaining they've sold nothing, or people who are saying they're millionaires selling everything, when most people are somewhere in the middle. But I think a lot of times it's hard to always hear from people who are doing so well, when you maybe think, oh, why am I not doing as well? But it's all about what do you want to do in the first place. Not everybody is trying to be that superstar.
Exactly.
And most importantly, and I think this, you use TikTok as the example, which is kind of maybe some lucky, you know, Kim Kardashian wore your jewelry thing. And I don't want to say it takes luck, you know, because there's definitely skills when it comes to SEO and what you're doing in your shop. But at the end of the day, if someone's selling more than you, it doesn't mean they have a better quality product.
Exactly.
Right? It might be that there's other things happening, whether it's their work in their SEO, they got lucky, they started before you, they have more traffic, whatever it might be. It's not about your quality of work all the time.
Right. And maybe that person doesn't want to have to make 100 of the same thing.
Yeah,
you know, that's where I am with rings. I don't want to make over and over and over. That's not fun to me. So,
right.
And I'm in it to, you know, for the enjoyment for myself.
Which is you know what, which is wonderful, and it's good that that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So with that said, Karen, I want to thank you again for joining us today on I think this might be our 4th or 5th Maker Monday. So thank you so much. Even more than that, I want to thank you for being one of the early adopters of Go Imagine. You know a lot about us already. We're really on a mission here to do something different in the world. it's not just about a handmade marketplace. Our goal is to change the way people shop for good, and to it so we can donate a lot of money to charity. And
That's right.
You've been a big help in that, especially not just building, but helping all the other sellers I see you communicate with. So thank you for that, Karen.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm just glad to be part of Go Imagine.
Well, we're happy to have you. So thanks for everything, Karen. I will see you on our Facebook group. Have a wonderful night.
All right. Thank you.
Bye now.